Hello and welcome, everyone. Very excited to have each and every one of you here. This conversation today is all about getting your questions answered. So, several of you submitted things ahead of time when you registered. I think we've done a good job of building that information in, and you are invited to ask questions throughout. So, how can you do that? First off, there's a chat box. I've got it open, ready to monitor that all the way through. The Q&A is an option. Chat's easier if you're okay with that. And if you want to come on live, you're welcome to do so. Give me a message in the chat box that you want to. I will let you know we are recording this, and the recording will be on YouTube. So please keep that in mind when choosing whether you want to come on live. I love it when you come on live. It's a far more dynamic conversation. At the same time, I get that it's about giving you choices. So let's get your questions answered. What's on the agenda for the conversation? We'll start out by defining coaching, move into sharing statistics and insight. We're going to walk you through the Staircase to Success coaching model and process to give you a sense of how the relationship is developed and how the process works, which is important to you when you go into a training program. We'll talk about the pros and the cons of coaching certification. Of course, I want to say it's all pros. At the same time, realistically, we know there's cons too. So let's talk about it. We'll share with you the reasons people choose certification at the Center for Coaching Certification. We'll talk about what to look for in a training program. We'll discuss opportunities when you've done coach training, and of course, give you a good overview of the Center for Coaching Certification programs. Starting with the definition, and this comes from ICF, the International Coaching Federation. And yes, I do have more information on that organization for you. I love the language of this definition. It says very specifically that coaching is partnering. This is different than any other professional service. Usually when you hire a professional, you see them as the expert. There's a power difference. In coaching, the coach comes in as a partner. And we work with clients, and I love the language here too, thought-provoking and creative process. So it really is about the thinking and the exploration. And that in turn inspires them to maximize their own personal and professional potential. So who is the ICF? They are a nonprofit organization. The members of the ICF are coaching professionals. They are considered the gold standard in the profession. What does that mean to all of us? If somebody's going to call themselves a coach, really the minimum is being a member of the ICF. And what's the reason for that? Well, ICF has a code of ethics, and all members are accountable to that code of ethics. They also have standards. Specifically, they approve training programs, and their standard for membership is that you must have at least 60 hours of coach training. It's interesting. Some people say, oh, you don't need training. Well, legally, technically speaking, that is an accurate statement. As a matter of fact, a dog can put themselves out there as a coach, and if somebody hires them, they're in business. And the real question becomes this: if you're hiring a professional service provider, how comfortable are you hiring somebody who hasn't been trained to offer the service they're offering? It doesn't work in the workplace, and it doesn't work in the professional world. ICF also has standards for credentialing, and several of you had specific questions about that, so we'll dig into that. Here's how it works. As I mentioned, becoming a member of the ICF is much like saying, okay, I've got my associate's degree. That's your initial standard. It's 60 hours of training. Then the next level after that is much like saying, okay, I got my degree in coaching. It's earning the ACC credential. In addition to the 60 hours of training that you do, which are the same 60 hours, they want you to have 100 hours of coaching experience. You work with a mentor coach for 10 hours. And in working with a mentor coach, one of the things you're working on is recording yourself when you are coaching one of your clients. and then reviewing that recording with your mentor coach to be sure it will pass assessment, because it does get assessed. And then when everything along here is complete, they will have you take the coach knowledge assessment. It's an exam, and it's totally based on the competencies and the ethics that we have as coaches. In terms of the PCC credential, we equate this to getting a master's degree. It's 125 hours of training, 500 hours of experience, 10 hours of mentor coaching. You're submitting 2 recordings of yourself. Now, if you took the exam at the ACC level, then you've already done it. You don't have to repeat it. If you didn't do the ACC first, then you'll take the exam at this point. What's important to know about the MCC credential is that you must have your PCC credential first. That is a requirement. So we're going to focus on moving you toward the basic training, and then those of you that do want to put yourselves out there as a coach to move on toward membership and credentialing. So how does it actually work? Well, at the Center for Coaching Certification, we have you start with our Certified Professional Coach program. It's an initial 30-hour training. What I will share with you is that many people take that class because they want the skill set in other roles, other jobs. So for example, anyone in a leadership position is probably learning that coaching skills are considered a competency for leaders. It is also true that if you're in HR or talent development, if you're in project management or change management, organizational development, coaching skills are considered a competency in the work that you're doing in one of those other roles. So very often we have people come and they want the coaching skills, even if it's application in a different job. For those of you that want the coaching skills to become a coach, the next step along the journey is the Certified Master Coach program. It's 35 hours of training. With those two combined, you qualify to join the ICF as a member. From there, you're deciding, are you continuing the journey? Are you going to move to the ACC credential or the PCC credential? So let's take them in turn. If you decide to go to the ACC credential, you'll be working on logging your experience hours coaching clients. They want you to log 100 hours. You'll work with a mentor coach for 10 hours. Typically, that's after you have a third to a half of your coaching experience hours. Mentor coaching covers a 3-month period of time or longer. And during the mentor coaching, your mentor coach is supporting you in terms of having a recording that you'll submit to the ICF for assessing. Then you take the exam, and that's how you earn the ACC credential. Now, some of you say, okay, I'm going to get the ACC first, so I have a credential, and then I will continue on to the PCC credential, and that's an option. You can also go straight to the PCC. If you decide to go straight to the PCC, after the professional coach and the master coach, you're logging coaching hours, and there's additional training hours required. So we offer the Certified Coach Specialist program and a coaching experience class, all about practice, practice, practice. We also include the mentor coaching there, support you in recording yourself with recordings that will pass at the PCC level. If you did not do the ACC first and take the exam, then you'll take the exam there, and that's how you earn the PCC credential. So hoping that answers all of those questions you had about ICF and the requirements and that kind of thing. Happy to entertain more questions, and feel free to jump in whenever you want with those. In the meantime, let's move into some quotes and statistics. Coaching is the world's second fastest growing profession, according to Ray Williams. I love this from Forbes. They said, do you have a coach? If not, you could be limiting your career success. And one of the reasons I love it is it's backed up by this particular study. It was done at Amoco, which is now part of British Petroleum. And here's what I love, the longevity of it. Over a 10-year period of time, they evaluated coaching. And here's what they found out. The people that had a coach had improved performance, increased ratings and potential for advancement, and check out this number, 50% higher average salary increases. 50% higher. Okay, that's huge in terms of career potential. And the people that had a coach said, hey, it was directly related to that coaching. That's what made the difference for them. Truly a game changer. It is considered a tool of choice for leaders and emerging leaders. Organizations have coaching programs or will have coaching programs. It's just going that direction. Now, what are the reasons companies hire coaches? 48% of the time, it is because they want to develop their high potentials or to facilitate a transition. Somebody's moving into leadership or there's a lot of change going on. And those coaches are absolutely a power tool in that organization. 26% of the time, it's to act as a sounding board. We see this most commonly in the C-suite when you have executives who, hey, they're not looking to figure out an action step. They're looking to think out loud. They're looking to have that thinking challenge and expand it. And a coach is truly a thinking partner. 12% of the time, it's to address a derailing behavior. Now, what's funny about this is sometimes people think, oh, if you have a coach, there's a problem. No, The reality is coaching is a huge investment. When you have a coach, you got the corner office with the window. In terms of a derailing behavior, an investment in a coach is the company saying, hey, look, you're good. You have the ability to do this. Something's getting in the way, and we're going to support you getting past that so that you are effective and successful. So very much about developing talent. What's interesting out of this research is they found that 76% of the time personal issues get addressed. Well, this totally makes sense when we think about it. Yes, the focus is their work when it's in an organization, and sometimes personal things are what's getting in the way of their success on the job. And so that's a differentiator. When they can work with a coach and address that, it means when they are at work, they're fully focused, they're more productive and engaged. Now, what if an individual is hiring a coach for themselves? Where's that come from? Most commonly, they're optimizing their own performance, increasing their own productivity, back to wanting to advance their career. Many times it is to improve their communication skills, to expand their career opportunities, and we saw the potential there. And I love this one, to increase self-esteem. Because think about it, we're all human. What does that mean to us? We all struggle with confidence and self-esteem. It's a matter of how much and when and what's going on. And when people are appropriately confident, that's when they're successful. People want to improve their work-life balance. And we also see coaching for entrepreneurs. They are starting a business, building a business, growing a business, whatever it may be. And working with a coach is a powerful tool in terms of them getting clear on what they're doing and how they're doing it. Fortune magazine said that the reason America's top CEOs are using coaches is because it works. And I want to expand on this. This is America. This is all over the globe. It's happening in countries around the world. And here's the bottom line. It's a 600% average return on investment. Now, I know bottom line is a very American term. At the same time, what does this tell us? It means when organizations invest in coaching, their return on that investment is huge. I don't know of anything that gives that kind of ROI. So there's a few studies that you can look at in addition to those quotes. One of the more commonly cited studies came from Metrics Global. And they said coaching produced a 529% ROI. And when they added in the benefits from employee retention, that ROI jumps to 788%, which is fabulous. It's an incredible ROI. Now, totally different look. This time, the study looked at productivity. And here's what they found. When you do training alone, you got a 22% improvement in productivity. When you add coaching with that training, that productivity gain is multiplied. It's 88%. And this research was done by Public Personnel Management. Xerox Corporation also did a study, and they said in the absence of follow-up coaching, 87% of the skills change brought about by training or development programs was lost. And what does that tell you? If a company is investing in training and developing their people, it just makes sense to have coaching as part of that process. When somebody decides who they're going to hire as a coach, how do they make that decision? Harvard Business Review researched it and they published. They're looking for a coach who has experience in a similar setting. That's what you already bring to the table. Whatever your background, your education, where you've worked, what environments you've been in, that's the experience you bring to the table. The second thing they're looking for is the clear methodology. That's what you gain in a coach training program, knowing that you have a process, that you're very intentional in terms of developing that relationship and serving the client. What does that look like? So, putting together an analogy for you, I did it based on building a staircase. If you're going to build a staircase, what's the first thing you do? Well, you put the framework in place. And if you're putting that framework in place, what are the pieces to it? Well, for building a coaching relationship, that framework includes training. Yes, as with any profession out there, there's training. You're developing competency both during training and as you get experience. And of course, you're accountable to the code of ethics. That's foundational to a coaching relationship, those elements. So now that you have the framework in place, what are the steps? The first step in a coaching relationship is the agreement between the coach and the client. I talk about it happening in 3 phases. The first phase is an initial conversation with somebody. What is coaching? What isn't? How does it work? What does it look like? The second phase is the formal agreement. In most countries of the world, a best practice is to do that in writing. Of course, in some countries in the world, that's considered insulting. And so it's a formal verbal agreement. Whichever it is, based on where the client is located, it's the formal agreement stage. And then the third phase happens every single coaching session. It is starting the conversation by asking the client what they want to focus on, how they will know this coaching conversation was successful for them, what that means to them, and what has to be addressed to get there. And when you have the agreement in place, the next step is understanding. And this is happening in many different directions. First off, as a coach, it is our responsibility to understand the client. Who are they? How do they think? How do they process? What's their context? What's their culture? Who are they as a person? And truly understanding them, being interested and curious about them. From there, you're working together for a common understanding of the client's objectives, of their possible barriers, of their opportunities, of their resources, and understanding the big picture for them. With that in place, what's happening is you're developing rapport. Rapport is the number one indicator of success in a coaching relationship. And the reason for that is it means the client trusts you, they're comfortable with you, and they can really have that open conversation, that deep exploration. That happens through the communication you're doing. And there's many elements to the communication. First off is listening. Coaches listen and we listen deeply. It takes listening to a whole new level for people. It's listening to understand. It's listening to hear the context for the client. And we ask questions. Coaching questions are completely different than any other type of question. They support the client exploring for themselves. And that in turn moves them toward developing their strategies, how they are moving forward to that doorway called success, which the client defines. So if this is the relationship itself, what is the actual process? So let's look at a diagram for that. Very common best practice in the coaching world is to start with what's called an introductory session. The idea for this is for the coach and the client to get to know each other. Hey, is this a good fit? Are we going to work well together? And to give the client a taste of what coaching is like. From there, when the coach and the client say, yeah, this is good, this is going to serve the client, you set up your opening session. A great way to approach that is that big picture exploration. It supports the coach understanding the client. It supports the client understanding themselves and having clarity about what they want in all different areas of their life, because they probably have competing priorities. They have influencing factors. So getting that big picture exploration is huge. From there, we move into how is the client going to stay focused on what they want to accomplish and fully engage in that. So let's think about that for a second. People talk about a New Year's resolution, and then 2 weeks later, they can't even remember it. It is so common that people have goals and those goals get lost. They get lost in the hustle and bustle of daily life. They get lost because other things push them out of the way, whatever it is. So, how are we keeping the client focused and engaged? And a very unique process for that is worked on in the program. Then, every single coaching session, it is the client who is prioritizing their focus, what they want to accomplish. The coach partners with them as they strategize and develop their action plans. And of course, taking time to acknowledge progress and success along the way. Very important part of what we do. The average coaching relationship will last 12 months. Sometimes it's less, sometimes it's okay, this is what we agreed to in terms of a minimum number of sessions. Sometimes it's longer. The key to coaching is that it's as long as it serves the client and it is intended to be for a finite period of time. So when you get to the point of saying, okay, the client is complete, they accomplished what they wanted or can accomplish in this coaching engagement, you want to make sure as a coach that you're setting the client up for the long term. How are they maintaining their progress and success after coaching? And you have a closing session where you're exploring what did the client gain from the coaching. And while we call it a closing session, we're letting the client know the door is open because clients do come back. They come back 6 months later, they come back 6 years later, because there will be a time when it again serves them to work with the coach. Moving now into the certification itself. In 2017, ICF funded a study, and here's what they found. 83% of individuals who were in a coaching relationship believe it's important to have a certification or a credential. And this number continues growing as people become increasingly aware of what it is and what it means. So now for you, you're thinking about certification. What are the pros? What are the cons? I'd love to say it's all pros. The cons are the same cons for whatever field you go into. It takes time and it takes money. Wherever you're going to work, wherever your career is going to be, you put time into learning, you put time into gaining experience. It costs money to get the education side of it. And so those are the primary cons. What's on the pro side? Well, on the pro side, it's an opportunity for career advancement, because whether you're in a leadership position or you have a job such as HR or talent development where coaching is requested or required as a skill set, it creates opportunities. For those of you that are going to do this independently, it's huge in terms of developing your business as a coach, putting yourself out there. So when you decide certification, how do you make the decision? The influencing factors that people shared with us for choosing the programs we offer. Number one, they wanted credibility. And we'll talk about how you know how credible an organization is. They wanted coaching tools, and they were very excited about what we offer because it goes way beyond what we do in the program. Lots of tools offered. The ongoing support. And for example, we provide free continuing education programs, monthly Q&A calls, resources, all kinds of things. The professional development opportunities. So specifically, many people have other professional designations that they're maintaining. And what's really nice about the programs we offer is that in addition to being accredited by ICF, we are also accredited by the International Accreditors for Continuing Education and Training, which means the credit hours we offer are accepted by professional membership organizations and other colleges and universities. So you can use them to maintain other designations. It's also a huge personal development opportunity. People talk about, in addition to growing professionally, we grow personally because of learning coaching. And one of the huge benefits that we offer is every single one of our graduate is given access to provide assessments at wholesale. And you have the opportunity to white label those assessment reports, which means when that report comes out, it has your name, your phone number, your email address, your web address, your logo, whatever you want to put on there. And that's a great benefit. Do you use assessments with all of your coaching clients? No, of course not. It's where it makes sense, where it's appropriate, where it's wanted and has a purpose. So in terms of the time and money, let's explore that because those are our big cons. We've got to address them. There are programs out there that are a few hours. I'll give you a big hint. If the program is less than 30 hours, it's not a coach training program. ICF standard is you have to have a minimum of a 30-hour program. At the Center for Coaching Certification, we have 4 different programs, and yes, they are a progression. You start with the first one, you go to the second, you go to the third, etc. So the certified professional coach, the certified master coach, the certified coach specialist, and the coaching experience classes. In terms of location, programs are offered in major cities. Of course, the pandemic had a big impact on that. So we've been doing only online. And at the same time, what's good to know is we've been doing online for over 10 years. That's been an option since we started. And then we also do programs for your group as desired. As far as cost goes, you'll see programs, those, hey, they're a couple hours or a day or two kind of thing, where they're fairly inexpensive. And you'll see programs that are really expensive. Universities are commonly $20,000 a year, and it takes more than 1 year to get there. At the Center for Coaching Certification, we are super excited about our price point. Here's what people tell us: that we're not charging enough. And we're absolutely okay with that because part of what this is about is increasing access. And we want to make this as accessible as possible to the greatest number possible. The certified professional coach program is $16.95. The certified master coach and the certified coach specialist programs are $19.95. And the coaching experience class is $18.95. We also package these. So if you know, hey, I am doing this, I want to go for that ACC credential, what we do is put a package together of the professional coach, the master coach, and the mentor coaching. And that package saves you versus doing them one at a time separately. So you have the best of both worlds here. You can take one program at a time, dip your toe in the water, pay as you go type of model. See, hey, is this the right thing? Do I want to continue? Or if you know this is what you're doing and you want that package, you have that opportunity as well. So there's one cohort that's called the ACC cohort with the first hours of training and the mentor coaching to get you to that level. We also have a program called ACC to PCC. So if you do the ACC first and then you want to go on to the PCC, we take you from where you finished with the ACC and move you on to the PCC. And we have a program that start to finish takes you to the PCC. And so you have 3 different options in terms of ICF credentialing cohorts. You can choose which is going to serve you best. Let's look at, how do you know if an organization is credible? So what I'll share with you is the very first thing and most important thing that you want to look for in any training program is, has it been approved by the ICF? That is your single most important factor. Now, pro con on that, there are over 200 schools that offer coach training programs, well over that. You have a lot of choices when you're looking, and a lot of those choices that are ICF approved. So that's your first factor. If you want to start discerning further, another consideration, there's an organization called ACTO. ACTO is a member organization, and the members are schools, coach training schools specifically. And the reason that's an important consideration for you is, if a school belongs to ACTO, that tells you, hey, we care about who we are as a school. We care about our own learning and growth as a school and continuously improving what we're offering and doing. Now, something I get super excited about is, in addition to those, and by the way, this is going to be a really tough one to find. I actually am unsure of any other coach training school that can offer this. So the ISAT, the International Association for Continuing Education and Training, this organization accredits us, which means if you are in HR, part of the Society for Human Resource Management or the Human Resource Certification Institute, our credits are automatically accepted. They're accepted at ATD. They're accepted by, as I mentioned, schools and universities around the world. We have individuals that are attorneys, financial planners, nurses, mental health professionals, so many different walks of life. And this is important to them because they use the training hours to maintain those other designations. On top of that, for those of you that happen to be in the world of image consulting, our certified professional coach program is approved there too. So these are all things that you look for on an organization's website, and they help you determine, is it credible? Above and beyond that, to add to it, I'm going to share with you who actually takes our classes. So we see a lot of people from some of these organizations that I've been mentioning, the Association for Talent Development, SHRM, and HRCI, the Financial Planners Association, National Small Business Association, the Association of Image Consultants International, of course, the International Coaching Federation, the International Accreditors for Continuing Education and Training, mental health professionals, consultants, project managers. We see change management professionals, so many different organizational development people, etc. So a lot of professionals. What's that mean to us? It means when you're in a class with a group of people that are sophisticated, they're savvy, they have experience, and the discussions are rich, and we learn from each other because people bring so much to the table in these programs. The bottom line for everybody, it is people who have a passion for empowering others. Whatever training program you look at, one of the single most significant things to consider, back to right along with that ICF approval, is that the program is developing the ICF competencies. It really speaks to you learning these skills. There are 8 of them. They're in 4 different areas. One is called the foundation, and that includes 2 competencies: demonstrating the ethical practice, which just makes sense, and embodying a coaching mindset. It's more than just saying I'm a coach, it's really being a coach. And then we have co-creating the relationship. Within there, establishing and maintaining the agreement. We talked about the 3 phases of that process. It also includes cultivating trust and safety so that you are developing rapport and maintaining your presence, truly being present to who the client is, understanding them. The third area of competency includes listens actively, taking that to that next level for you as a coach and evoking awareness, which is done through the powerful questions that we ask. And our fourth area is cultivating learning and growth, facilitating that client growth. It is truly about supporting them and this serving them in a way that makes sense. Who benefits from coach training? Absolutely everyone. I talk about being a better mom and grandmother as a result of learning coaching. It serves leaders, trainers, educators, consultants, managers, HR professionals, project managers, change management professionals, service providers, business owners, people from all walks of life. Let's dig into some of what's behind that. So, if you think about coaching as a career opportunity, in addition to it being a skill set that's called on, think about it this way. Whether the organization knows you have the coaching skill training, the certification, what's going to happen is it's going to impact your performance. Because the bottom line is when you learn coaching, you learn people skills, communication skills, goal setting, motivation, all of the things that serve us as leaders. So, what that means, and of course, you see the statistics on your screen, people don't leave their company, they leave their boss. Coaching is a skill set that makes a difference in the workplace. The skill development for communication, we dig into listening, assertive language, being respectful and clear and direct in how we say what we say, and the questioning and learning how to formulate those questions. The people skills, yes. How do you understand your client? How do you pay attention to them and really notice who they are and then flex based on who they are? And goal setting. How people set goals makes a difference in whether they achieve those goals. So it's about creating the change and motivating the follow through. In terms of business opportunities, let's get an idea of how it works. The range of coaching, and these are US dollars. This number translates in most countries. There are countries where the money is just completely different. It's going to be relative comparable. So in the US, the range is $100 a session of $3,500. Let's be realistic. $3,500 is if you're coaching somebody like Oprah Winfrey. For most, the median rate is $500. That's typically in the corporate space. Actually, let me pause there for a second and break that down further because there was a question that came in ahead of time. If somebody is doing life coaching or career coaching and they're hired by the individual, most commonly they're in the 100 to 200 per session range. If somebody is doing business coaching where you're working with a small business owner or maybe a key person on their team, the range is commonly in the $200 to $400 per session. When you move into the corporate space, there you're talking 300 to 600 is a very common starting point. It does go up from there depending on your level of expertise and the level of the individual inside the organization. So that gives you a sense of what the range is for the fees that you ask for. 2.356 billion US dollars are invested worldwide in coaching, and that number continues growing. As of November of last year, ICF had 38,249 member coaches. Of them, almost 19,000 were ACC, and of course, this number has climbed since then. Over 13,000 at the PCC level, fewer than 1,500 at the MCC level. So that gives you an indication of where coaches are going in terms of developing themselves. So for a business, It may be an add-on service. This is common when people do organizational development, change management, project management, those types of services. Or it may be, hey, I'm going to do this part-time or full-time and build a business offering these services. So great opportunity. In terms of the training itself, when you come to the Center for Coaching Certification, here's our perspective on it. First off, we know you come with a level of competence already. You bring strengths and skills. Our job is to also develop the competence as a coach. So it's completely based on the coaching competencies. And there's a synergy between what you bring to the table and what the coaching competencies are. So it's maximizing that. In terms of confidence, we know that for a coaching relationship to be effective, the coach has to be confident in themselves as a coach, in the coaching process, and in their client's ability to be successful. The client also has to be confident in their coach, in the coaching process, and in themselves for moving forward. So what we're focused on doing is supporting you with tools so that you are fully empowered, so that you hold your client as fully empowered, and there's an awareness of how that all works together and you move forward. There's also a huge focus on choice. Coaching is about discovering different possibilities and opportunities, strategizing. It's a partnership, and the choice belongs to the client. The programs that we offer, we're going to move through these, and please feel free if you have additional questions. I hope I'm answering the ones that came in, and feel free to ask follow-up or more. So the Certified Professional Coach Program, which is your first step at the Center for Coaching Certification, starts with a series of live online classes. One thing I'll share with you is that as compared to right now, unfortunately, we have to keep everybody on mute. The reason for that is because otherwise we get all the background noise based on how many people are here. When we do a class, the size is managed. Classes are commonly in the 6 to 12 people range, so it's a small class. And what that means is when you're in class, you're definitely live. We have you on camera, we have you unmuted so that you're part of the conversation and we're working together. The first class we do is called About Coaching. We get really clear on what a coach is and is not. There's a lot of common misunderstanding out there in terms of what coaching is, and this truly explores what it is. We also do a great overview of the competencies of a coach. From there, we move into ethics. We have a good time with ethics. It's kind of funny. People think, oh, it's such a dry topic. I totally geek out on ethics. We have fun. We talk about different scenarios. We discuss it and really learn it. Understanding your client. Oh boy, bring your sense of humor to that one because we do laugh. It is recognizing different people, and people, we're funny creatures. So really understanding who different people are. How are you paying attention to them? And a tool for really noticing them. And with that, how do you adjust and work with them based on who they are? From there, we move into communication. We talk about listening skills. We talk about clear, direct language, and we talk about questions. The class on focus and motivation gives you some amazing tools in terms of how you're developing rapport, how you're languaging the conversation based on who your client is, and how those goals are being defined and focused on. With each of the classes, you do have a homework assignment. So the classes are all 90 minutes. Your homework assignment on average will take 90 minutes. If you know anything about adult learning, it is a way to really deepen your learning and add to the value you gain. So what will happen with, I'm getting ahead of myself, with these classes, the first couple of classes, there's additional reading, there's some self-evaluation. And then with the next 3 classes, what you're doing is literally practicing the techniques in your everyday conversations and then reflecting on the impact it has. We do a group session where you have the opportunity to come in, whatever questions you have, whatever you want to ask, we're doing it in a group session. And then we move into the coaching practicum, which is an amazing experience. So what's going to happen is during class, you will be partnered with others in the class. You'll have a chance to coach. You will be coached. So you experience it from that perspective, which is so essential for learning coaching. And then you'll observe coaching. And we do this for multiple coaching sessions to really develop your process and your skill set. At the end, we have a case study that you complete that serves as the final. We go through it in class with you. After you complete your certification, we do have a free monthly Q&A call. We provide you with recordings on the business of coaching, marketing yourself as a coach, and then also of coaching sessions, among the many, many other tools that are included with the program. And I mentioned the continuing education. So we ask you to have 12 hours every 2 years to maintain. We provide 24 hours every 2 years. So you have lots of opportunities there. For the Certified Master Coach program, which is the second step, one of the questions I often get asked is how much time in between? That's up to you. So for example, when we do the cohorts, we literally move from one to the next to the next. Some people will spread them out further based on their schedule, their budget. So you have choices. It's about what serves you and what works for you. In this class, we again start with our online classes. The first one is group and team coaching. And the reason we do that first is because part of the coaching practicum is going to include doing group coaching. You're going to love the experience. It's incredible. Then we move into, in the next 4 classes, truly deepening your awareness of an application of the coaching competencies. So we talk about what it means to do them or not do them and really dig into your application. What I have a lot of people say to me is this really helped it click into place for them. With these classes, you're digging into the areas of competency. Then we do a class on time and money coaching. And people sometimes say, time and money coaching, I'm not going to coach people on that. Here's my pushback to you. Just as time and money are the big cons for coach training, the influencing factors, if you will, they are influencing factors in decisions people make all day long. And if you're coaching people, these are influencers. We also talk about there are other influencers. Those are more unique to individuals. Some individuals, it may be medical considerations. Some it's going to be health considerations. It's going to be time considerations, family or location, whatever it is. And of course, there are a lot of cultural considerations. So these are all influencing factors. And as coaches, we want to be aware of that and work with that. We do have a final debrief class where we're debriefing the coaching practicum, which I'll explain in a moment. In terms of the classes themselves, the homework is split in half, 45 minutes before class, 45 minutes after class. And again, it's based on adult learning and deepening what you take away from the program. We give you specific questions to be responding to. The practicum itself, as I mentioned, it includes the group coaching. So what does that mean to you? When you look at the schedule for a master coach class, you'll see that the group coaching sessions are scheduled. For one of those sessions, you will be the coach or a co-coach, depending on how many people are in class. And for the other sessions, you'll be one of the people in the group experiencing the group coaching. We also do individual coaching. You have an opportunity to interview each other at this level, and you're involved in selecting who your coach is. Then there's a final report where you're writing about a coaching experience, and that completes the Master Coach program. For those of you moving on to the PCC credential, your next level of training is called the Certified Coach Specialist class, and you choose which area you're focusing on. And the options include business, career, executive, life, and wellness. And what will happen is some of the information you focus on, the assignments that you do are tied to the specific area that you're working in. The classes that we start with coach competencies and strengths, because in addition to the competencies of a coach, there are strength areas for coaches and they work hand in hand. We're taking you to the next level with this in terms of your skill. Engaging and understanding your clients, the coaching relationship, the client priority management, and the client's future classes. Again, bring those competencies in. And we also talk about the behaviors. How do you know that competency is actually being demonstrated when you're coaching? And we explore that. Then we have a class on challenges and trends, because as coaches, we face challenges and trends. It's important for us to stay current in what's going on. The coaching debrief class is going to be debriefing the practicum part of it. With the Certified Coach Specialist program, we have advanced reading that you're doing. We provide that to you. And then you have your homework assignments, which do include questions that you're responding to. The practicum, much like at the master coach level, includes the group coaching where you'll be a coach or group coach for one of the sessions, and in the rest, participate. You again will be involved in interviewing your colleagues in the program and in selecting who you want as a coach, and you complete a final report. The coaching experience class is all about practice, 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 practice. So we start with 2 webinars, one to review the core competencies and how evaluations are done. The second one to look at group and team coaching, adding to that. There'll be 6 group coaching sessions in the program. And as an individual, you will be the coach 5 times. You'll be the client 5 times, and you will observe 5 sessions. And then we have a debrief webinar. So that's your overview of the coach training programs. Now, mentor coaching, what does that look like? So first off, there are 3 individual sessions for you. One of them, we have a 360 of your coaching competencies that we developed. So you fill out a questionnaire and you have clients fill out questionnaires, and we discuss the results of that. We also will talk with you about what the parameters are for recording yourself as a coach to submit to the ICF. And during your individual session, we'll review recordings with you and discuss those PCC markers, which are how the ICF is evaluating or assessing your recording. We also do 5 90-minute group sessions. These are focused on discussing the competencies. We go through, we talk about them. Hey, what does this mean? How does this apply? Just whatever questions or insights are shared in class. And then we do laser focused mini sessions for the application of those competencies. What is included with our programs? Oh, this is where it gets really good. First off, all of the class materials are included in programs. When you graduate, we give you coach login access where you have dozens more tools available to you as a coach. We give you the assessment dashboards where you can access the different assessments at wholesale and provide them to your clients. We also create opportunities for you as a coach. So one of them, we invite you to guest blog. It's a way of getting in front of another audience to guest present, do one of the continuing education webinars. Again, it's getting you in front of another audience. We publish a book once a year. I write 1 chapter and the rest of the chapters are written by graduates of the program. We published Coaching Perspectives 10, and now we're setting up who's going to be writing Coaching Perspectives 11. So that's an ongoing opportunity. We also have an online directory of coaches, and we have a business development team that is actively seeking contracts for coaching in which we place our graduates. So a lot is going on to support you during the program and afterwards as far as being successful. And we are super excited about that. So what is your next step? First off, you invested your time being here, checking this out, exploring. I want to give back on that. So if you want a free 30-minute coaching session, what'll happen, easiest way to do this is when I email you a link to the recording of today's conversation on YouTube, you can reply to that email and tell me you want a 30-minute conversation. I'll send you a link to my calendar and you can choose a date and time that works for you. Now, sometimes people use it for coaching. Sometimes I have people say, I just want to talk more. I want to talk about the program. I want to ask questions. I want to share about myself and make sure it's a good fit, whatever it is for you. So you have that opportunity. A next step for you is filling out the application. This has you looking at what's required. You're checking off the boxes and you're putting on paper what you want out of the program. You're telling us about you. It's a great way to get to know you. When you know which class schedule serves you, whether you're doing the certified professional coach or you're doing the application for one of the cohorts, the way to hold your place in that class is to pay the registration on it. Classes do fill up. So if there's something that fits your schedule, you'll want to grab it while it's still open. I want to thank each and every one of you for being here. I so much appreciate your investment in checking us out. I am happy to hang around afterwards as long as anyone's here. I want to make sure we get all of your questions answered. So delighted to be doing that. And in the meantime, as far as what I have, we're complete. I've shared everything there. So I'm inviting your questions. And for those of you writing the comments in the box, thank you. I'm glad this was helpful to you and that you got the information you wanted. So thanks for expressing that in the chat box too. And from what I'm seeing in the chat box, um, it looks like everybody's really just saying thanks and that you got your questions answered. So I'm not seeing any new questions. And I'll tell you what, I'm available to you afterwards. Our team is available to you afterwards. So if something comes up later and you have additional questions, please do reach out. Let us know. We absolutely want to respond to that. So let's see, is there a team coaching certification? This is something that's in process. That's a great question. ICF has actually developed a set of competencies for team coaches. We do provide that. We talk about those when we're in the Master Coach program, for example. And ICF is moving toward creating a specific credentialing process for the team coaching. So that's coming in the future. Is it here now? Not yet. It's on its way. So, okay. Yeah, you're welcome. Absolutely. That was a good question. And I'm back to, I think everything else is saying we're good to go. So I appreciate all of you being here. Hope this was helpful to you in terms of getting the information you wanted and exploring. And we do look forward to hearing from you and being of service. So thank you so much.